Hi everyone, let's make some science. For this experiment, we're going to need a glass bottle with a funnel, some water, some liquid food dye, some vegetable oil, and some fizzy and acid tablets that we've gone ahead and broken in half. So, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pour our water into the bottle by using the funnel. Wow, that was fun! Next, we're going to put in some of the vegetable oil. Safety first. Now I am told if you tilt the bottle, it will help this process. If you need help, always make sure you get an adult to help you. I don't have an adult here, so here we go. There we go. Now we're all done. What happened to the vegetable oil bottle? I don't know. Science! So if you look, this is really cool because the water and the oil have separated. They have separated because of the spin of the Earth. Isn't that cool? Now, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add some food dye. So, what color shall we add? Well, let's go ahead and add some red. Be very careful because this will permanently dye your skin. Now we're going to add a bunch of drops of red food dye. There they go, floating down, down, down. Let's give it a little shake. That shake didn't do anything. Oh, there we go. The dye is starting to go into the water. Let's give it another shake. And more of them are popping. This looks very cool. Now, let's go ahead and let's add one of the antacid fizzy tablets. And let's see what happens. So here we go. Look at that! Doesn't that look cool? That is pretty neat! Now, what this is doing, this is actually because of capillary action and osmosis. Wow, that was neat. Let's go ahead and add another one. Plop. Wow, that's pretty cool. Now, if you like science experiments like this, you might like the game we're featuring today. Today's game is Lab Wars. In Lab Wars, what you're trying to do is you're trying to gain the most impact points by buying these impact cards. When you buy the impact cards, you will receive so many impact points, and when 2 of these impact piles have been depleted, the game ends and everybody adds up their points. You're going to start off the game with a hand of some characters that you can use. Now each character has a different ability, and you can only use them once until you actually use your professor, and your professor will give your cards back to you. Now you start off the game with a couple of different cards. You start off the game normally with a thermal collider and some peptites. Now let me show you these a little bit closer here. So when you have some lab items, they're going to do different things when you do research with them. So the thermal collider, when you do an experiment with it, so you turn it to its side or exhaust it, you're going to receive a purple chemical specimen. Now if you have 2 of these specimens, you can draw 2 lab items. If you have 4 of the specimens, you can draw 5 lab items. Now, the peptides do something similar. If you go ahead and do an experiment or exhaust this card, you're going to receive an orange viral specimen. If you have 2 viral specimens, you will get two temporary research points that you can use to spend on items. Or if you are able to have 4 of them, you're going to get 5 temporary research points. So, just to make the game a little bit easier to explain, and this is actually part of the beginner's game stuff that is in the instructions, you can actually disregard your thermal collider and just have 2 sets of peptides. And that's how we're going to go ahead and show you how the game is played. And also every player starts off with 2 of your research points just to begin the game. So normally on the very first turn, you're going to take 2 research points from the pool, but we've already done that. And then you also draw a lab card, which are the blue cards. But on the first turn of the game, you don't do that. So just completely ignore doing that phase. So, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to pick one of your researchers to go ahead and use. So, they have several different abilities here. So, looking at the PhD student, his ability says that you may discard up to 2 lab items from your hand and receive half of their value in research points rounded down. Not too useful in the beginning of the game. The principal investigator says you change the specialisms generated of up to 2 lab items this turn. So if we were using the thermal collider, we could actually change this to the same specialism as the peptides and use that. But I'm not going to go ahead and do that. What I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to use the emeritus. Emeritus? I think I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, but whatever. So we're going to use this guy here, which says that we'll be able to pick up 3 cards from the lab deck and keep 2 in our hand and discard the others. So that's what we're going to do. So everybody's going to place their character face down until everybody is ready. Then you go ahead and place all of your other characters face down because you won't need those cards either. And then you're going to flip over your card when everybody is ready. Once everybody has flipped over their card, now everybody's going to go ahead and take anything with a star on it. They're going to go ahead and do any of their bonus actions. So I've already read his. We're going to pick up 3 lab cards and keep 2 in our hand and discard the other. So let's go ahead and pick up 3 lab cards, which we already have a hand of 3 already. So let's just look at these 3 here. We have a thermal collider, a DNA sequencer, and some genome editing tech. So I think we're going to go ahead, we're going to use this DNA sequencer. And why not keep this thermal collider? Why not? So we're going to discard this genome editing tech. So I discard that, and my opponents do anything that is on their lab assistant cards. Now, if any of my opponents had played the principal investigator, they must discard their hand down to 1 because this is a sabotage action. So every lab person has somebody that they will oppose. And if they oppose them, then they'll have to do this nasty action that is on the bottom of the card. So, now that he is all done doing everything that he can possibly do, you go ahead and place him off to the side, on his side, so that way you know he has already been used. Now we go to our hand of cards. So now we have some extra cards. Remember, we started off with 3 cards, but we're able to draw a few more. So, see here we have a centrifuge, we have some more peptites, we have a patent machine, DNA sequencer, and of course our thermal collider. So now let's go ahead and take our very first turn. So, as I explained, we do have our peptites that we can use. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to conduct an experiment using both of these peptide cards. So when you conduct the experiment, we're going to turn these both cards on their side, and we're going to receive 1 of the orange viral specimens per card. And then we're going to go ahead and spend both of those to receive 2 extra research points. So we're going to conduct that experiment, and then we're going to receive 2 temporary research points. So now we have a total of 4 research points that we can go ahead and spend. Now we can spend those on cards from our hand, or we can also spend those on some of these impact cards if we want to. So right now we have 4 to spend, so if I want to, I can go ahead and I can purchase this nurture paper, which is worth 2 impact points at the end of the game. I can't afford a published book, and I definitely can't afford any of the Nobel Prizes, because the Nobel Prizes cost 15. And you can only have 1 Nobel Prize per game. So, let's see here. Do you know what? I think I'm actually going to go ahead and start off the game by having some impact points. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to purchase this nurture paper. So I purchase the nurture paper, put it in my area. I spend the 2 imaginary ones, and I spend the 2 that I already had in my area. And boom, I am now leading the game because I have 2 impact points, depending on what my other players do. So they go ahead and take their actions. Now we go on to our next turn. Now, the card I already used does not come back to me. That's very, very important. That has already been used. It will not come back to me unless I use my professor card. So, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to receive 2 research points. So those are available for you. Then you're going to draw a lab card. Now, looking at my cards here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 cards. The hand limit is 5. If you ever have too many cards in your hand, you must immediately discard something. So let's see what the new one was. Research grant worth 6. So during the next bonus phase, you may pay 2 for an action card and take an additional. But you know, I think I have everything else that's pretty inexpensive in my area. I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to discard that card that I just drew. So I discard that card, and now we're going to ready any of our lab equipment that we used our last turn. So our peptides are now available to be used again. And now we go ahead and put our hand aside, pick up all of our lab people, and we're going to figure out which one we want to play this turn. But you know what, I think the postdoc is somebody that'd be really cool to play. She actually looks like somebody I used to work with. So, anyways, receive 1 research point for each lab item worth 2 research points in your lab area. Well, hey, both of our peptides are both a cost 2 right there, so we'll receive a pretty good bonus there. So that's who I think I'm going to use. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use my postdoc. So I place my postdoc in my area. Everybody takes theirs, they flip them face up, and you go ahead and do their bonus actions. So anything with a star. So I'm going to receive 1 for each lab item worth 2. So I'm going to receive 2 additional research points. That is very awesome. Now, for giggles, let's go ahead and say that somebody had also played their professor. So if somebody had played their professor, I get to take 2 research points or an action card from them. So I can randomly take an action card from their hand, but you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to take 2 research points. Now, if you are ever able to successfully sabotage somebody like I just did, you are going to go ahead and get one of these green cards, one of these sabotage cards. So, this one says, Copycat, take any discarded action card. That's actually what these are. These are action cards. So, that is really cool. Now, this does not go into your hand. This does not contribute to your hand size or anything like that. This just goes off to the side, and it's going to go face down in your area after you know what it is, and then you can play it whenever it is appropriate. So my postdoc has already been used. I'm going to place her off to the side so that everybody can see who I've already used. I'm going to go ahead and place my card down there for future use. And I'm going to go ahead and pick up my hand of cards. I like that everything is color coordinated so it's easy to know which cards you're supposed to be having in your hand at specific times. So now that all the bonus actions are done, sabotage actions are done, we're going to go ahead and start our turn. So we're going to conduct experiments, and now we can purchase stuff as well. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start off. I'm going to conduct some peptide experiments. I don't even know what peptides are, so whatever. We're experimenting with them. So those give me 2 more, so now I have a total of 8 that I can spend. So let's see here. What can I go ahead and do? Well, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to use those 2 imaginary ones that came from my peptides, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to purchase a centrifuge. So when I purchase a centrifuge, this actually has bonus actions on it, so when we do the bonus action with our lab people, we'll be able to do this card. So if I exhaust this card during this, this portion of the game, I will be able to place 2 research points on this card. Then during the bonus, I can retake the research points I placed on this card. In addition, I can take an equal amount from the bank. So the centrifuge kind of doubles your money. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place that in my area, and you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to experiment with that. And I'm going to go ahead and take 2 of my research points and place them right onto the centrifuge. Now I have 4 left, so what do we want to buy with these 4? Well, do I want to buy some peptides, thermal sequencer? Do you know what? I think I'm just going to stay with what I have in my hand, and I'm going to say that I'm going to buy another nurture paper. So I buy this next nurture paper. That is worth 4, so I spend my 4 that I had left, and I receive 2 more impact points. So I'll place that into my area. Now if you look, the next nurture paper is now costing 5. So this one's a little bit more expensive. And they will get a little bit more expensive as you go further down into each pile. So that is just the basics of Lab Wars. And again, the game ends when 2 of these piles have been completely depleted. Once they're depleted, everybody's going to count up their impact points, and whoever has the most points is the winner of the game.
This program is part of the Pathological Nerdcasters Network. Find more at pncn.rocks, where all the geeks come to play.
So that is Lab Wars. This game is a pretty cool little game. I only had a 2-player version of the game, but the game will be able to have many other players. So if this looks like something you would enjoy, especially if you have any science-y background or if your kids are interested in science or anything like that, this is something that is really cool. If you're not interested in science, this is still a pretty cool little game all about trying to figure out just how to get the points in to get those major points at the very end of the game. So if this looks like something that you would be interested in, please go ahead and click the link that is down in the description box so that we will be able to go over to Kickstarter and back this game. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Please do not forget to like, share, subscribe, and help support Cloak and Meeple. I'm going to have my Patreon link right over there, along with my subscribe button right down below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Oops, that's why I have the tray.